¿Cómo están? Buenas tardes, buenos días en Australia, en el otro lado del mundo, en Argentina y los amigos de Latinoamérica, buenas noches. El día de hoy me es un gusto estar con todos ustedes. Estamos en la misma sala, pero en diferente locación. Vamos a empezar esta plática eh, con una de las marcas icónicas dentro del ferromodelismo. Realmente es algo de marcas de calidad que no solo producen trenes, producen carros de pasajeros, tienen su propia marca de decoders. Hay una línea que muy poca gente conoce, pero tienen hasta una línea de zapatos para niños, que es algo que es muy, muy interesante. Vamos a platicarle a Ken. Ken Silvestri es la persona que va a estar con nosotros, vicepresidente de ventas de Broadway Limited Imports. Una de las preguntas que me muero por preguntarles, los famosos se llaman chuchu shoes, haciendo referencia al tren, como hace Chuchu, es para niños. Muy poca gente conoce de esto en México y no sé si en Latinoamérica sean conocidos, pero bueno, es lo que vamos a platicar el de hoy. Por lo pronto, por lo que veo, Martín todavía no se puede conectar, Martín desde Australia. Bueno, si empieza más adelante la conexión, lo vamos a juntar y empezar todo esto. Pero bueno, sobre todo lo que quería platicar el día de hoy, puse el anuncio de Ayuna a 100 pies, una de las máquinas icónicas no solo en México, creo que muy pocas en Estados Unidos, pero más adelante vamos a explicar con qué exactamente si van a seguir produciendo esta máquina o no. Pero bueno, por lo pronto quiero dar la bienvenida a Martín. Ya llegó Martín. ¿Cómo estás, Martín? Buenos días.
Buen día. ¿Cómo andan?
Muy bien, ya te veo estrenando el equipo.
Sí, estaba con problemas de conexión. Estaba tratando de probar y no andaba.
No te preocupes, estaba dando la bienvenida a todos, platicando de nuestro invitado que vamos a tener, que hay muchas cosas que platicar sobre Broadway, que no solo máquinas hacen, que carros, pasajeros, el decoder que ellos usan, y estaba platicando un poco de los shoes, que son zapatos para niños de trenes, pero cuando los vi dije, yo los quiero para mi hijo, pero ya no los he podido encontrar creo que se venden en línea, pero bueno, al rato le preguntamos a Ken. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Qué novedades tienes?
Bien, todo bien. Día de lluvia hoy, así que no mucho que hacer. Nada mejor que hablar de trenes y sí, obviamente para mí Broadway es muy, muy importante en mi vida porque cuando volví a modelar trenes después de cuando era chico, yo empecé con los trenes Lima. Mi primer locomotora con sonido es una K4 una K4 de Broadway. O sea, para mí la introducción a DSC y sonido fue gracias a Broadway y no podía creer las diferencias, o sea, qué estaba usando después de estar sin decir nada en contra de Lima, trenes de los modelos 70 de plástico, con pocos detalles a esta máquina de metal, con sonido, DCC. Fue un cambio de época. Y después para mí la que fue la mejor locomotora, que eso es otra pregunta que yo tengo para Ken, la relación con Precision Craft, o sea, la Big Boy de Precision Craft, que es Broadway, esa para mí fue la mejor Big Boy de toda la historia. Así que sí, la llevo en mi corazón a Broadway.
Sí, realmente cuando puedes tener una máquina diferente a las Taiko, Lima, a las tradicionales, a las HM, y te encuentras una Broadway, la calidad y la diferencia es muy, muy grande. Y pues bueno, estaba comentando que es una de las grandes marcas de mercado, el sonido, todo. Y luego la ventaja, al rato lo vemos con Ken, ellos manejan su Go Pack, que es su capacitor, que la verdad últimamente me ha tocado arreglar muchas máquinas de diferentes marcas, perdón, y he arreglado varias Broadway y a todas les he puesto estos capacitores. Es la diferencia, sobre todo las de vapor, es 100% recomendable poner capacitores, sobre todo si te gusta manejar a velocidades cortas y muy realista, creo que está bien.
Sí, la otra cosa, mira, es casualidad, ¿no? Yo tuve problema tengo en escala H0, tengo una Union Pacific clase 9000, que es la locomotora larga, y esa la compré, venía con Paragon 2. Ajá. Y tuve problemas, la mando a reparar, me la mandan de vuelta con Paragon 3, con batería, todo. Dura un año, tengo problemas otra vez.
Sí.
Y contacto a Customer Service y me mandan un decoder de vuelta con Paragon 4, que tiene ya la batería incorporada. Así que fue nomás cambiar el decoder, fueron 3 minutos, fácil de hacer, y ahora tengo una batería incorporada, así que pude probar el Paragon 4 por anticipado.
Sí, yo no he podido probar Paragon 4, por ahora me quedan 2 y 3 y he puesto algunas capacitores, pero sí, el 4 parece que tiene grandes ventajas. Ahorita le entramos a detalle con Ken, pero sí, eso de los capacitores es algo diferente.
Sí. Te ahorra un montón de problemas y más que nada no hay nada más molesto que estás usando los trenes y la locomotora se resetea y arranca de nuevo la secuencia de sonido. Bastante molesto. Hoy en día nos hemos puesto muy elitistas, ¿no? con el modelismo.
Exacto.
Pero bueno, pero es la realidad. Estamos en el año 2021, así que estas cosas ya, hoy en día ya las damos por garantizadas, ¿no?
Perfecto. Oye, antes de presentar a Ken, por ahí está el buen amigo Rubén, nos comentaba algo del audio. Nada más le quiero comentar, si se escucha mal es porque tienes mal Wi-Fi o mal internet. Te digo porque ya lo validé con mi esposa, anda por aquí cerca, le mandé un mensaje ahorita de si se escuchaba bien la transmisión y lo están escuchando perfecto. Entonces, al amigo Rubén que puso ahí varios comentarios, que checa su Wi-Fi, o muchas veces si escucha la transmisión con datos directos se escucha mal, pero por ahí vi varios mensajes que me estaba mandando gente de que se escuchaba mal, y ya lo validé con otras personas que nos están viendo, parece que sí. Pero bueno, sacando los temas técnicos, vamos a dar la bienvenida a Ken. Déjame incluirlo.
Sí, yo voy a hacer esto.
Ay, bueno, y saludos a Costa Rica. Por ahí alguien se entró desde Costa Rica. Ahí está Ken. Hello, Ken.
Hello. Good evening to everyone.
Well, welcome to the show. We're gonna make English and Spanish because we have many people who doesn't speak English. I will introduce you, and then Martina and I will alternate to make some questions.
Cool.
Acabo de comentar que le estás dando la bienvenida a todos. A Ken le comenté que la dinámica es un poco de inglés-español. Uno habla en inglés, otro en español traduce. Sobre todo, la idea es que todos podamos entender. Sabemos que a lo mejor no todos dominan el inglés y la idea es que esto sea accesible para todos. Martín, si quieres tú empieza con la parte de las preguntas, ya sabes, y pues, ahí nos vamos.
Hello, Ken. First, I want to introduce myself. I'm Martin. At the moment, I live in Argentina, in Australia. I'm original from Argentina, and Eduardo, obviously, he's from Mexico. So our idea is just to, try to share the hobby with all the people talking in Spanish around the world. So we love, all model train products, and obviously Broadway Limited. They are super special, and you do very cool videos. And I say a lot of people they miss because obviously they can watch it, but they can't understand what you say. So, like I say, that's the idea. Just
that's great, though.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. Estaba diciendo Ken que, bueno, una pequeña introducción y que, bueno, lo que hacemos es tratar de, como siempre, la función de este canal es tratar de una traducción en vivo, poner las entrevistas en español para todos ustedes. Ken, so we start with the first question. Like I said, you would like to introduce yourself and tell us about your background in model railroading, please.
Yeah, right now I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing at Broadway. But for a lot of guys my age, I started with my father in the basement in Lionel Trains. This is in the 50s. He actually bought my first set when I was 2 weeks old. I really don't know who it was for, but so then, as I got older, I worked at NIH in Bethesda, Maryland for 10 years doing biomedical engineering. I would separate amino acids. And during that time, I stopped into Williams Electric Trains. And long story short, I started to design circuits for them for trains. It was just a fun thing. Well, I became the general manager at Williams, And from Williams, I went to Lionel, and I was the director of research and development. And there I met my friend and buddy Bob Gruber, who owns Broadway. He was the head of engineering there. And we quickly became really good friends, and we're good friends to this day. We worked together at Broadway. And I've been at Broadway about 17 years.
Wow, es una historia interesante. Sobre todo, comenta que empezó desde muy chico, dice como la mayoría de las personas de su edad, en el sótano con su papá, que dice que su primer set se lo compró su papá a las 2 semanas de nacido, y un poco la broma que dice que el tren pues, más bien era para él, pero bueno, para su papá obviamente, pero lo compró con su tren de set Lionel, que fue el primero. Después nos comentó que un poco trabajó se llama Williams, ¿verdad? Dijo la empresa Williams.
La compañía Williams.
Haciendo circuit board, se me fue el nombre español, tableros, ¿no? Digitales, bueno, para Williams, y después entró a Lionel, ¿no? Realmente lo que estaba comentando, que lleva, creo que me dice que 17 años, ¿no? 17 años trabajando en Broadway, que actualmente es el vicepresidente de ventas y marketing en Broadway, y comentó también un poco la relación, ¿no? que existe con Lionel, que es importante.
Sí, y también agregó que entró a Broadway con su amigo Joe Grudbach, que es obviamente la otra persona que vemos muy frecuente en los videos de presentación de Broadway.
Así es.
Okay, I think you answer for us. The next question is, when did you start working for BLI? So, ¿cuándo empezó a trabajar por BLI? But now, could you share us about the history of Broadway Limited, please?
The early 2000s, Broadway brought the first onboard mass-produced sound to HO. And it's funny, in those days, we could only build locomotives with big tenders, wide-body diesels that could hold all the electronics. And what we've done and what we've do to this day is try to build cool sounds, cool locomotives with good sounds, good operating abilities, and we love what we do. So it's hard to really quantify all of it, but we just try to make cool trains.
Bien. Ok, le pregunté a Ken, obviamente, si nos podía compartir un poquito de la historia del Broadway. Dice que empezaron en los años, al principio de los 2000, y la idea de Broadway era introducir el sonido, y obviamente podían poner solamente sonido en locomotoras en tender grandes, sea vaporeras. Y que bueno, la idea de Broadway es hacer buenos trenes que sean divertidos, y esa es la mayor función. Eduardo, déjame compartirle la pequeña historia de la K4.
Sí.
Ken, I just mentioned to our guests here in the show, my first DCC locomotive in sound was a K4 from Broadway Limited. So my introduction to DCC, it was in 2000, I believe 2005, 2006. So I jumped from Lima, the Italian modelers, they were plastic, DC, no details, suddenly to a Broadway Limited. And I have a little incident. I was playing with that locomotive in DCC and catch my fingers and I just drop it out the layout, and the K4 fall with the front, and because it was metal, bent a little. And I say, wow, if that was a Lima, it would implode. So that was my introduction to models, with sound and DCC. So thanks to Broadway, I'm very passionate about DCC and locomotives.
Cool. I'll tell you a funny story was when we first came out with the Hudson. A friend of mine who ran Lifelike at the time, he said, Ken, he goes, bring that locomotive over here, because it was getting a lot of stir. And, he went around the track, and he looked at it, and he heard it, and he goes, Ken, nobody in HO wants sound.
Really?
And he said, if they want sound, you be number one, and I'll just step back. Now, no businessman ever says, here, you take my business for me. Will you please? That doesn't happen. But And for the beginning years, a lot of the manufacturers were assets for us because they weren't looking to change. They weren't looking for sound. The complexity with the sound is huge compared to when we used to just put a motor, a couple of gears, some lights, and a shell. That was it. Now we have 10,000 lines of code in each locomotive. So.
Eduardo, ¿querés traducir vos?
Sí, Ploco nos compartió una historia que tenía un amigo que lo invitó para que viera una máquina y prácticamente le decía que nadie quiere sonido en las máquinas de DCC. Dice, esto no es posible, no queremos complicarnos. Y pues un poco la burla, ¿no? De lo que es el día de hoy, que tenemos luces, LEDs, tantas cosas. Lo que le decían es que en ese entonces, pues nada más era unos engranes, 2, 3 cables para adelante y para atrás, y ya, ese era un tren. Y tanto le decía que su amigo lo comentaba de que no quieren trenes, no quieren sonidos. Si me van a querer sonido, casi te dejo mi empresa, le estaba comentando. Al final un poco yo creo que es la visión de pocas personas, de pocas empresas. Es como hoy en día es la gente que está yendo a carros eléctricos, a energía alternativa. En 10, 20 años es raro el que vaya a tener a lo mejor un carro de gasolina.
Correcto.
Entonces es lo mismo, cuando era DCC con sonido, hace unos años es lo de hoy, todo el mundo quiere sonido y quiere DCC.
Cambio. Le voy a comentar el tema de la escala N. Ken, I'm lucky to model in 2 scales, so I do HO and N scale. And again, my first N scale locomotive was a Broadway limited again. So I have the pleasure, like I said, to almost, I'm Union Pacific person, so I love Union Pacific. I can say I have all the Union Pacific model Broadway did in both scales, from 2005 to now, to current.
I appreciate that.
And the evolution of the sound, like I say, now in N scale, and the last improvement, I'm going to be honest with you, the first locomotive I have from Broadway was an SD40s, and I have a few issues, with the sound, the power, and everything. And how you improve now that in the last locomotives you did the AC 6000s, amazing. So it's true, like you work hard to give us the best product possible at the time. So that's always I say, at the time, Broadway did the best. So some people criticize that, but there is an evolution. There is an evolution, I'm sure you are.
It's a huge evolution. I have a background in electronics, and this is the paragon for N scale.
Wow.
Board.
Tamaño de un dedo, finger size.
And this has the motor control. It has the yellow is the extra capacitance, the tantalum capacitor.
Yes.
And this is actually the antenna for Rolling Thunder. And to me, it's almost magic to get, as my engineer friend would say, this many happenings going on in this little board. And to put this into perspective, and here's the switcher, and how small that is to have complete sound into it.
Yes.
And one of the big problems was, typically an N-scale locomotive would be just filled with lead, and that's what would give it its traction. Well, we displaced a lot of the lead with not only the board, but a speaker. There just isn't that much room into it. But, we've overcome all of that. And it's a lot to Bob's engineering. He's just very talented at it.
Can you show the engine and the board at the same time? I'm going to say this in Spanish. Yeah, that's perfect. Ken nos está platicando un poco del decoder para escala N y vean la relación en la mano. Hace unos días alguien me preguntó de decoders N y bueno, quiero que vean la complejidad y aquí, bueno, este es un ejemplo, ¿no? De todo lo que acomoda en la máquina. Thank you, Ken.
Y yo tengo esa locomotora, te digo que es impresionante. O sea, yo no podía creer cuando la saqué de la cajita tan chiquitita, la pones y decís, esto no, ¿cómo es posible? El sonido, so powerful. Thank you, Ken. Like I say, and the other thing, of course, smoke. Broadway limited and the smoke. Oh my goodness.
We were told again that no one wants smoke, no one in April wants traction tires, and we're like, this is cool stuff. We can do a lot. And with the traction tires, the problems were they used to take a tube and just slice it, and it would have a seam to it. Well, we mold our traction tires. There is no seam on it. We use the best type of plastic or rubber or whatever for that application. So the smoke, it goes back to the sound. And some of you may have heard me say this before. Model railroading is an illusion. It's not real. And guys make the scenery look great to fool the eye. We make the locomotive perfect to fool the eye.
Sir, Ken, let me interrupt you. I will quote forever Ken Silvestri. Model railroad is an illusion, not real.
Yes, exactly.
I will talk that later because many people is so in Mexico we say cuentarremaches, in English is rivet counters. They are so obsessed, and you said perfectly, model railroad is an illusion. Let me say this in Spanish.
Sure.
Ken acaba de decir una frase que me pareció increíble y por eso lo interrumpí. Ferromodelismo es una ilusión, no es realidad. Esto va para todos los rivet counters que luego nos encontramos, que se obsesionan y dicen está mal, está perfecto. O sea, agradecemos mucho los detalles, pero es cuestión de disfrutar. Eso es lo importante. I just said that you need to enjoy.
Exactly.
It's the illusion. Enjoy the illusion.
Exactly. Ken, there is something like always happens. We have our channel, and my son makes videos on YouTube, and we have a lot of people saying, turn off the smoke because makes the problems in the track, pollutes the scenery, makes the locomotive dirty, and say, yes, that's the idea. That's a real locomotive.
How many clean railroads are there?
Exactly. We can clean it, but yes, no.
So to finish that thought was that the scenery and the locomotives and it fools the eye. And we've all seen pictures where is that a real picture or is it a model? But when we edit the sound, it brings in another sense and it helps to sell the illusion, especially when the train is laboring going up a grade and you hear the chuff change, or when it coasts, it comes down. It just sells that illusion.
Yeah. Lo que decía Ken es que obviamente a veces uno recibe críticas por usar el humo, o porque uno la apaga, porque ensucia la vía, porque ensucia la escenografía o la locomotora. Y Ken vuelve al mismo punto, la ilusión y completar con el sonido, el humo, la tracción, los efectos, para crear eso. Realmente lo que hacemos, y creo, Eduardo, esa la vamos a patentar, creo que sería la frase del show.
Sí, la frase del show, sí.
Era del año. Pero no, excelente. Okay, we move on the other one. Talking about the illusion, Ken. The best, coolest video I saw in my life by Broadway, the ones with the bricks and the coins. That's the best video ever. Congratulations for that one. Like maybe 10 years ago, almost.
Yeah, we never talk about the bricks, but we pulled 7 bricks.
Yes,
it was more than I thought, and we only had 7 bricks. It wasn't like we had any more. It was like, okay, well, we just don't bring them up. We'll just let people see them.
Le estaba comentando que también en traducciones, Broadway tiene un video, creo que es una de las Norfolk and Western, si no me equivoco, o de HT, no me acuerdo, ¿verdad? Que hacen un video donde ponen 7 ladrillos en el tren. Ajá. Y mueven el tren y después lo llenan con monedas. O sea, es uno de los videos más raros que he visto, hecho por una compañía, por supuesto, ¿no? Muy buen video. Y Ken, obviamente, no lo puede creer, dice que usó 7 ladrillos porque solamente tenía 7 ladrillos.
Okay, sí, bueno, la calidad muy buena y el arrastre algo muy bueno. Por ahí alguien me preguntaba en otro foro si se le puede poner humo a cualquier máquina? La respuesta es sencilla, sí. Yo no lo recomiendo mucho porque hay que preparar bien la máquina, entonces hay que ver la máquina, preparar el chasis y preparar muchas otras cosas, pero Broadway es una de las especialidades que estaba comentando. El humo y las ruedas de tracción, usar el mejor plástico o el mejor elemento para tenerlo. Muchas de las máquinas de Broadway ya vienen con ya sea tanto de diésel, hay de diésel con humo y obviamente las de vapor. Entonces realmente si alguien piensa comprar máquinas con humo, Broadway es una buena opción.
Correcto. Ken, next question, because we're talking so long. It's so fun to talk with you. Your favorite radar line, which is?
I started with the B&O. I lived in Baltimore. That museum is spectacular in Baltimore. So I started doing the B&O. And then I saw the Pennsylvania locomotives. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll include the Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. Then I saw the Norfolk and Western, and I said, oh, those are cool too. Okay, I'm going to stay east of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
Then I saw the big boy.
Yeah.
The daylight, the beautiful West Coast locomotives. And I said, okay, from now on, I'm going to stay east of the Pacific. I'm not going to go any more than that. That's where I'm going to stay. So, and you know what really, since we moved to Florida, we don't have the basements and we don't have the layout. We have a layout at work, but it's not the same. But what's become my passion is more making really good models.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like taking the place of running trains. Is like, okay. And, you know, there's at Broadway, I don't think anyone tools as many new locomotives as we do. So there's almost always a new one, coming. So, you know, I have a couple here that they're brand new. They're going to be, first time made.
Bien, bien. Bueno, la pregunta a Ken era si obviamente su ferrocarril favorito y bueno, empezó por Baltimore y terminó con Union Pacific, o sea, recorrió todo el país cambiando a la vez de ferrocarril, pero obviamente vuelve a lo mismo. La idea de él es disfrutar del hobby, disfrutar de todos los trenes, no tiene nada en particular, le gusta todo, es como un chico, digamos.
Sí, y de hecho, bueno, muchas veces nosotros recomendamos un poco para mantener el presupuesto bajo control, escoger un esquema y una escala. Y yo empecé así, la verdad, pero desgraciadamente te empieza a gustar lo que ves. Y últimamente, pues en México veo muchas Ferromex, unas verdes que le llaman ranitas, las nuevas de color cebra, todo. Entonces, yo empecé con nacionales y con Canadian National, pero de repente empiezo a ver las Kansas, empiezo a ver otra y me empiezo a mover y me pasa un poco la historia de aquí como niño en juguetería, te sueltan y quieres agarrar de todo.
Sí,
pero bueno, es lo importante eso, ¿no? Que puedas hacerlo y que lo disfrutes.
Ok, le hago la pregunta, esta va a ser difícil, ¿cuál es la locomotora favorita?
Sí.
Ken, this is going to be very difficult for you, I guess, but you need to choose one locomotive in HO scale and one in N scale. Just only one, could be anything, could be any brand, but you need to give us your favorite HO in your life.
I'm going to tell you two brand new ones.
Yeah.
And one would be the FEF, and I have that here.
Oh my God, I want to see this. I'm waiting for this. Yes, do it. Oh, beautiful.
Se ve perfecto, muy bien, nice.
Can't wait for it.
It's just beautiful. The detail on it, and
yes,
I
haven't gotten this quite down yet.
The detail, and also from Broadway, I fix many of Broadway, is the weight. They have an excellent weight, and obviously there's a better contact. Me está enseñando una de sus máquinas favoritas y estamos platicando de los detalles, y más allá de los detalles, el peso. Son máquinas con muy buen peso y muy buenos detalles.
Sí, no.
And it's not just the weight, it's balancing it like they did with the real railroads. They have to, you want that force to come down where you get the most traction. And we do the same thing with the models. You know, we try to balance it and get it to where it's it's going to maximize traction.
Sí. Nos dice que no solamente es obviamente el peso, sino como la locomotora se mueve, es como que todo el modelo funciona muy armónico, ¿no? Digamos. Ken, this is very funny, this one too. I say, my son is 16 years old now, so he started with the first Broadway, and when he makes the video in our channel, every time we review Broadway Limited, so we have all let's say last year, all the brass models, hybrid, we collect all them. So he say all the time when we finish the video, the conclusion is, this is the best model Broadway has released. And again, 1 month after that, this is the one.
I appreciate it. That's how I really feel. The N scale switcher, to me, it's like we were talking earlier, Harry Potter magic. How? And the sound it's loud.
It's loud. It is loud.
And it's just remarkable. Just remarkable.
Decía que Ken es como cada modelo que sale es el favorito, y digo, a mi hijo le pasa igual, porque cada vez que hacemos un review es como que decimos, sí, esta es la mejor locomotora que hace Broadway, pero de nuevo al mes, sí, esta es la mejor locomotora, porque van evolucionando, van dando detalles, tecnología, increíbles.
Así es. Por ahí, entre las preguntas, no me acuerdo qué orden hay, pero muchas de las personas en México me decían, por favor, le preguntas a Ken de los esquemas nacionales, en especial de los pasajeros de México. No me acuerdo ahí cómo vamos en el orden, Martín, luego me dices. Pero sí, tengo esa pregunta ahí, pero en mente.
Es un buen momento.
Sí. ¿La hago ahorita?
Sí, dale.
Ah, perfecto. Ken, well, we know that Broadway has produced many Mexican schemes, NDM, Ferromex, and we have a special edition of passenger cars, the blue ones. I believe you made four of them, and many people in Mexico told me, please ask Ken, are you gonna make a second run from these passenger cars? Do you have plans?
Right now,
I know that this is business, but many people is interested about that.
Yeah, well, that's the P70 cars, I believe. Yes, we will. And if there's a Mexican railroad, we'll gladly do it. So it's the answer is yes, we will do them again.
Oh, thank you very much. Let me translate because this is very important for Mexico. Les comentaba Ken que hay varios esquemas de Broadway, de México, de Ferromex, de nacionales, por ahí hay una de vapor, pero hay unos carros famosos azules de pitufos que le llamamos acá, que hizo Broadway, 4 en especial, un observatorio y creo que 3 dormitorios. La pregunta concreta fue si los piensa hacer. La respuesta para el agrado de muchos es sí. Vamos a estar pendientes. Ken, we're going to be very... se me fue como decir pendientes. Martín, ayúdame.
We're going to be expecting these models.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be expecting, especially the blue cars. Because I know that you have the Sapphire, the passenger cars. I believe the Mexican cars are ex-Sapphire. I believe they are the same line. Is that correct?
The Sapphire?
Yeah.
California Sapphire.
Yeah, California Sapphire.
Sapphire.
And the Mexican blue ones are ex-California Sapphire. I believe that's the information. So
yeah, we're happy to, and from the business side of it, if we can add a road name, that especially if it's prototypical, we're happy to do it. So yeah.
Le voy a agregar algo de los modelos a Ken, de los que hace también en Australia especialmente. Okay. Ken, this is how hard collector I am from Broadway Limited. Like I got the blue line when you launched the Australian locomotive here. Was the one from Western Australia working in the mines.
Yeah.
So the iron ore locomotives, the bubble gum. So that's the other thing Broadway has. Like I said, they do the models around the world. So I saw that locomotive in almost all the Australian houses, running in all the layouts because it was a favorite here. Like I said, that's so good. Like you look around the world, you are not only concentrated in the United States or Mexico only. And many schemes, and Australia love that thing. So you want to produce more Australian locomotives, you're welcome.
Here's the question for you and your audience. We've had surprising success in our fantasy schemes.
Yes. Yes.
And we were told that you can't do that either, but and I wonder how your audience would feel about a locomotive that maybe wasn't prototypical, but still painted in a scheme.
O sea, ¿qué nos quiere preguntar a nosotros? Broadway hace lo que se llaman los esquemas de fantasía y quiere preguntarle a la audiencia, pueden ponerlo ahí en el chat si quieren, Eduardo levantar las preguntas. Como si les gustaría alguno en especial, así que, por ejemplo, imagínense, no sé, una Big Boy en Nacionales de México, por decir un ejemplo. O sea, ¿quién quiere saber eso de la audiencia? So can we ask it so people are on live? So Eduardo is putting that question now on the chat. So I tell you something. I have at the moment 3, including the Milwaukee, the box, the electrical one. I think it's the
P5A.
Yes. And I tell you now, if you do any locomotive with the Argentinian railways, I will buy it. And I guess all the Argentinian people will, because we don't have one locomotive. So you can choose a K4, a small steam locomotive, and that is going to sell. So yes, please do one. Okay. And then the Argentinian railway scheme that is red and orange, very easy to do. If you do a diesel like that, you will sell like a hot potato. So I will send you some pictures if you want. There are similar models you have already in diesel. They are small locomotives, so I guess maybe, be the first company to make an Argentinian railway model. Okay?
There we go.
Acabo de poner la pregunta. Realmente esto se me hace algo muy bueno. Siempre en los grupos de Facebook hay alguien de que, ¿por qué no hacen esta máquina? ¿Y por qué no? Y digo, en otro tema hablamos ya, en otro podcast de tooling y los costos que es hacer una máquina, pero la verdad que nos dé a decir, oye, ¿qué máquina te gustaría de fantasía que pudiéramos hacer o qué te agradaría? Y puse un ejemplo pues, para que sea muy, muy, muy fácil, desde una Big Boy en esquema Ferromex, pues no existiría, pero bueno, that's the idea, ¿no? It's something crazy, pero ojalá puedan poner algunos comentarios y ya luego se los pasaremos a quien para ver, pero sí, yo por lo que he visto en los grupos, mucha gente pide cosas diferentes, raras. Yo creo que sí sería bien recibido. Como siempre hay gente que es muy, muy apegada a la realidad y va a decir que eso nunca existió, pero tengo por ahí un par de conocidos que incluso hicieron su propia línea de ferrocarril y hacen sus trenes con, me acuerdo, un color naranja. Se me fue el nombre completo de mi compañero, se pide Plasencia, a ver si no se enoja luego conmigo, pero él inventó su propio tren, entonces eso es importante, yo creo que mucha gente les va a gustar esta idea.
Eduardo,
¿sí?
El modelismo es una ilusión.
Total. I just said that I wrote the questions in the chat, but I know that many people will love this idea, and I was talking about that. I have a friend who invented his own scheme with orange letters. I don't remember the name of the scheme, but they say, okay, this is my train, this is my logo. And what he do is he had many engines and he painted and designed his own scheme. So I'm just making the questions to all the public that comment about what they think about this. And well, I think that you understand that my example was a Big Boy with Ferromex scheme. It's something really crazy.
Amazing. Yeah, very good.
Y ahí tenemos ya el primer valiente que sí. Compré una Big Boy con Ferromex.
You just sold one Big Boy with Ferromex, okay?
Ferromex and NDM, they have one.
Just sold the first one.
Yeah.
Le voy a preguntar a Ken sobre cómo eligen los modelos.
Sí.
Ken, we're talking now for model, and this is the perfect time for this question, is how Broadway Limited or the directors of the board decide to go ahead, or the team from Broadway Limited decide to go to choose a model or really a prototype and make from that locomotive a model. So what's the process?
There's only one criteria for it. Can we sell it?
That's great.
Can we sell enough of them to pay for the tool? And a steam locomotive, it can be $250,000.
Yes.
So by the time a locomotive reaches, we've paid for the run, we've paid for all the tools, and it really comes down to, can we sell it? Because Jerry Williams told me the first day I worked for him at Williams Electric Trains, he said, "We collect money here, not trains."
Yes.
And the day we stopped doing that, I would have to go out and get a real job. Scared me to no end. But it for us in choosing it, and what's funny, it's not really what to choose. It's how many to make. That's the hardest question of all.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And one other thing while we're talking about this is that people always ask me, well, you came out with this locomotive and then this company came out and then this company came out. Like, why do you copy each other?
Yeah,
we really don't. But we're all smart guys and we're sitting in the room and saying, what's the next best thing to make?
Yeah,
and oftentimes it just corresponds what the other company's going to do. And by the time we've announced it, we have tens of thousands of dollars already invested. So by that time, there's no breaks. You just and I feel our fans are so good that they're loyal to us. So I appreciate that.
Okay. I will translate that. So la pregunta era obviamente cómo eligen producir un modelo y la pregunta tiene una simple respuesta para Ken, que es si se puede vender ese modelo. Realizar un nuevo modelo puede llegar hasta costar $250,000, o sea, para recuperar ese...
No, esa también la tenemos que casi patentar. Para los que siempre piden máquinas a lo loco en muchos grupos, diseñar una máquina es $250,000, es lo que cuesta.
Exacto.
Sí,
eso es muy importante. O sea, diseño. O sea, después hay que fabricarla y después hay que venderla. O sea,
exacto.
O sea que para recuperar esa inversión se tarda un tiempo y bueno, la decisión es esa. Y que a veces lo que él destaca es que cuando empiezan a diseñar las locomotoras ya invierten dinero para analizar el proceso, lo que se llama el business case, o sea, para ver si se vende y todo eso. Y que Ken dice que sí, es cierto, muchas veces parece que las compañías se copian unas a las otras, pero que no, y que son coincidencias que realmente, y yo creo que analizan el mercado y me imagino que Rápido y Broadway al the moment pueden producir o Scale Trains, o sea, hay una coincidencia porque es el mercado, la demanda del mercado.
Así es. Oye, Marty, ahorita se me ocurrió una pregunta que está fuera de script, si me permites.
Sí.
Ken, I have a question that just came out of my mind. Many of the new engines, DCC, smoke and everything is so gorgeous, but the price. Most of these engines are $250 and above. The new big boy, perhaps $500. And in Mexico and Latin America and many other countries, this is very exclusive. Not all people can afford this. And I'm just thinking about the new generation, about the young people, the kids. Do you have something to introduce to DCC, but something they can afford? This is a general question. I don't know if you have the correct answer, but have you thought how to attract young people who has their first job, their first earnings, and they can buy the first Broadway engine? Let me translate this and then the answer, please. Okay. Se me acaba una pregunta que salió un poco más de la producción, todo esto. Les estaba comentando que hay muy buenas máquinas, pero el precio es $250 o más. Las grandes máquinas valen $500, $600 y mucho más, y el envío, impuestos. Le pregunto que si como compañía tienen algo pensado para los jóvenes. Aquel joven que está en su primer trabajo, aquel joven que es adolescente, que pues, gana poco dinero. ¿Cómo introducir a este joven a un hobby, el DCC, que lo pueda pagar? Si como compañía tienen alguna estrategia. Ken? Yes.
We always look at that, and but if you start with the math, and I think part of it is the models that we're going to make. We're going to have the add-on detail to it. You can put that in, mold it into the body, the different parts, and it doesn't. It's not a Broadway locomotive. It's just not. We've looked at doing starter sets. Our starter set would be $600.
Okay.
We went to, and I'm friends with Janisek from Bachman, and I'm like, how do you do that? We don't have that ability to make a starter set. He goes, neither do we. I don't know how we do it either. I just don't know. And I think part of it is, our basic philosophy that we're going to build a train that's, our electronics is expensive.
Yeah.
And, we have an electronics guy on an engineer on staff. He's an expensive guy and he does great work, but all of that costs. And we just have decided that our models are going to be the high end of the hobby. And we don't know how to make those models. We don't know how to make them cheaper. We just don't. Our factories, we just can't seem to find it.
I think that's the right answer, Ken. Like I say, you come to specialize in high-end models, and that's fair enough. Like I say, you have that in the car industry. You have everything. Like I say, there is the entry models, and there are the high. Yeah, and that's okay. You fill in that space in the market, and you achieve something like many people didn't believe in the past. Like you overtake over brass models. I say you brass hybrid are much better than brass. And I have this conversation with my son. Like we used to collect brass, and I decided to sell everything because it was a point. I say, Broadway and other brands too. To be honest, they come in with plastic, with combination of metal and brass details. They're going to go over in technology, in sound, in smoke details. So brass, in some point, yes, it's going to belong to a museum or kind of, this is the new era. And we sold out all the brass and say, let's go down. And now I'm happy, and I'm very happy with your answer because, yes, you're going to continue that line, and that's good news for the people that can afford it, of course. I know it's hard, right? But it's real world, like I say. Yes, you decide to concentrate in high-end models.
Y eso, I'm going to say this in Spanish, es muy importante. Broadway se va a concentrar en un nicho tipo, bueno, el término es high-end, mucha gente dirá que es Spanglish, pero es un término de acabados, un término de calidad, un término donde dices, oye, yo no puedo hacer un set de inicio porque con mi tecnología y mi calidad, un set de inicio vale $600, que es más o menos lo que decía Ken. Entonces dice, no lo puedo hacer. Y dijo, oye, le preguntaba a Bachman, ¿cómo le haces tú para hacer sets tan baratos? Y la respuesta es, no lo sé, nos sale muy caro, pero lo hacemos. O sea,
la solución creo que está como en la vida. Broadway hace unos productos de buena calidad que siempre gente va a vender, va a comprar y vender. Es como la vida. O sea, son tan buenos los productos que después esa gente que no puede acceder cuando son nuevos puede comprarlos de segunda mano. Y cuando los compra de segunda mano tiene garantía o lo pueden reparar y puede continuar. Es un círculo de la vida.
Oye, pero y algo antes de terminar este tema. He escuchado mucho esto en los foros americanos que dicen, enséñale a tu hijo el hobby del ferromodelismo y no van a tener dinero para drogas. Entonces, creo que esto es algo perfecto. Let me say this to Ken. Ken, I always read in the Facebook groups that they said, teach model railroad to your son or daughter, and they will never have money for drugs or so.
Well, here's the story. I saw this locomotive, and a guy new to the hobby will say, I'll never spend $500 on a locomotive. Never, never. Next year you see him and you go, what do you have there? And he goes, look what I got. It was only 500.
Yeah.
What we found is that people appreciate the quality.
Yes.
And they, for their hobby, they want it to be good. They want it to be the right thing.
But something I mentioned to Eduardo is like, people, they can afford when the model are new. You build in so good quality, like you can buy that model in the second-hand market sometimes. Let's say sometimes they go astronomical price. My example is, for me, it was very hard to get the Pennsylvania to buy the S2. I was crazy about the Locomotive, and I didn't bought it when it was new, and it cost me a fortune. But I say, this is so good quality build. I don't care. I know it's going to run, and if it doesn't run at some point, you have customer service, you have people to support, you have the tech guys that they help you a lot. So, at the end, that's the quality of a product. The extended life is not like it's going to last 3-4 years and then goes to landfill. This is a locomotive forever if you keep it in good condition. And that's the thing. As a generations, I sold in my life maybe 4 big boys. So how many big boys we shamp to get the new one we have now? That's 3 or 4 already. So that people, they can afford it now. They can get that one in a couple of years, and the quality is going to run, it's going to sound good, and it's going to make us more. So that's great too.
Cool.
Excellent.
Sí, estamos hablando que al final es la calidad y todo lo que produce Broadway, que es muy bueno y bueno, es un hobby. Si es algo que puedes invertir y salir adelante, pues está muy bien. Y aquí no sé el orden, pero me gustaría que introducir un poco la parte del Paragon 4, hablando de calidad. Igual decir, oye, pues yo ahorita acabo de instalar varios GoPack en el 2 y en el 3 y quedaron perfectas las máquinas. Pero con el Paragon 4, ¿qué diferencias nos ofrece? No sé si le quieres preguntar.
Ken, I hope you're okay in time because we are just halfway, and because this is very interesting and it's lovely to chat with you. It's like
the pleasure is mine.
It's like having a friend in Florida talking about trains. So it's
I haven't been to a show in 20 months, so I'm thrilled.
Yeah, okay, you are okay. We're going just to Paragon 4 now, so we want you to talk about the decoders, please, the new Paragon 4. But before you start with that, I'm going to share something I shared with the people before we start the chat. Is I have a Union Pacific class 9000, and that one original came with the Paragon 3 decoder when I was the last one you did last year, and that locomotive didn't have the plug for the battery. So I have the bad luck, the locomotive wasn't running correctly, so I sent it back to Broadway. Took a few months to come back, but I came back. Then I found you installed the new Paragon 3 with the plug. Okay, so I plugged the battery, fantastic, ran very good for 6 months. And 2 months ago, decided that locomotive not to sound anymore. So something was wrong with the decoder. So I contacted customer service, the technician. We changed email service very good. They asked me to, take the decoder from another Broadway locomotive, put it inside, test a few things, the speakers, everything good. And the technician say, no, it's the decoder. You have a problem in the decoder. So they didn't ask me to send that decoder, the faulty decoder back. They sent me that decoder, the Paragon 4. So I installed that, and we did a video last night about the difference and everything and how easy it was to swap. And now that has 9000 is going perfectly. So that's the introduction. So please tell us about the evolution of Paragon 4, the battery incorporated or the new capacitor, all the details, please. And I translate this before you start.
One thing that has changed with building trains is the electronics. And we have to change boards every 4 to 5 years because the components become obsolete. It's like an old computer. You take the old computer to get fixed. They're like, no, we can't do it. You can't buy those we can't buy those chips anymore. There's a newer, faster, more memory, smaller boards but components that replace the chips we're using. So we have to keep changing it, and with that, we can, we always look to, find out what the problems were, how to make them more robust, what cool features we can add. The memory we have in Paragon 4 compared to the original Paragon is amazing. And that board was 3 or 4 times the size, perhaps. But the Paragon 4, it's just the evolution. I do have a good story about Rolling Thunder, though. Bob and I, we were working at Lionel. We became really good friends, and we would drive back and forth to work every day together. And we got more done in the car than we ever did at work. But we're driving along, and all of a sudden, Led Zeppelin's A Whole Lot of Love comes on. And it's going from one speaker to the next speaker, and it's going back and forth. And we're like, we have to do that with the bass part of this thing. It took us 20 years, but that was the start for the Rolling Thunder.
Wow.
And
wow.
The Paragon 4 with the extra capacitance, it seems like that's in the way the boards are starting to go. People are putting on, after sale type of capacitors, and we decided to put it all on the board right from the start. So it's remarkable. An HO, it can go like 5 seconds. You can pick up the train and it can go, but you can change the capacitance. The CV to how much you would like that.
Sí, déjame. Bueno, sí. Martín contó primero al principio, Martín, la historia de una máquina que tiene, que, bueno, tuvo varios arreglos, que habló al soporte técnico, lo recibieron muy bien. El decoder viajó y le cambiaron. Al final de la historia le llegó un Paragon 4 y vio la diferencia. De hecho, hizo un video para que lo vean, el Snow Valley Union Pacific Division, que lo vean por ahí en su canal, donde hace la comparación entre un Paragon 4 y lo que tenía antes. Y la pregunta es a quién es, ¿cómo llegamos al Paragon 4? Y me gustó mucho su respuesta, es la evolución, es la tecnología. Muchos de nosotros crecimos con la famosa Commodore 64, las pantallas verdes, cuando te conectabas a internet y se oían ruidos y que se estaba conectando. Y pues bueno, eso ya pasó, nuestros hijos viven otra época. Y Ken, dando ejemplos con el Rolling Thunder, es decir, esto va cambiando. El nuevo decoder es más potente, es mejor. La industria se está moviendo a que todas las nuevas máquinas ya traigan capacitores, porque mucha gente estaba instalando. Una vez que los comprabas, instalabas tus capacitores. Entonces ellos dijeron, oye, pues vamos allá a venderlos con el capacitor instalado. Entonces prácticamente es un poco la evolución. Entonces es retomando, considerando a Broadway high-end, o sea, calidad, todo eso, su siguiente paso natural era un mejor decoder con un mejor capacitor y mejor sonido. Un poco resumiendo todo lo que dijo Ken.
Excellent. Ken, I have a question related to decoders, and also, sorry, very good about the example about the Rolling Thunder. That's what was the next question, so we will translate that later. But a curiosity about decoders. You started really with the QSI decoders, yes? If I remember.
Yes.
Paragon is related to those decoders or no? You can say yes or no, that doesn't matter. I don't know if it's a secret or not, but just as a curiosity.
It's not. That was the first decoder that had the sound, and QSI had started it. We helped them finish it. The project, and we had an exclusive, I think, for 3 years or something for our investment in that. But the boards have changed, and we went from QSI to, I think, ESU, and we could never get the board the way we wanted it. There were always things that we wanted that couldn't be done or wouldn't be done, whatever. And then at one point we just said, if we want to do it, we'll do it ourselves. And we brought our own a guy in that we knew, and he's produced all the boards to this point, all the decoders, because we wanted a quillable whistle. We wanted to play, we wanted certain things included. And I think one of the differences between Broadway and other companies are we kind of like Apple. We control our boards, electronics. We design them in concert with the locomotives, how we build them. How we build the chamber that allows the music to. I call it music, and
Yes.
in truth, when we worked at Lionel, we worked with Neil Young, and he's sitting at my desk and he's singing the sound of a locomotive. And at that point, I realized it's not the sound of a bunch of check marks. Do we have the chuff? Do we have this? Do we have that? It's a song that our guys like to hear. So we think of it that way. We try to mix the sounds in together so it sounds pleasing. And again, not just a checklist of sounds.
Yeah. Okay. Le pregunté a Ken la relación entre el decoder, el primero, el QSI, y el Paragon, y me dice que no, que ellos tuvieron un contrato al principio, las primeras locomotoras venían con QSI, y después probaron Locksound, y después, bueno, se dieron cuenta que ninguna de las dos compañías hacían lo que ellos necesitaban. Ken, otra frase, el sonido lo llama música, bueno, sí. otra toma nota, el sonido es música, y bueno, que es parte de lo que a ellos les gusta. Se compara con Apple, digamos que él evoluciona y quiere las cosas a medidas para poner en su producto. Ken, I will compare you. You are the Elon Musk of Model Trains, or the Tesla companies, Broadway, so you are Elon Musk of trains, or?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, you are the Elon Musk of trains, from Tesla, to compare Broadway with Tesla.
Well, thank you. Again, we love what we do, and it's Bob's a really good engineer, and if it's not on a spreadsheet, we don't know what to do with it. Again, we just love what we do.
Okay. La otra pregunta que quiero hacer, Eduardo, si me permitís, es: me quiero sacar una duda con Precision Craft y Broadway.
Sí, claro.
This is my personal question. I used to love Precision Craft models. That was my first big boy. There is a relation between Broadway and Precision, or in the past, something happened there, they belong together at some point?
When we left QSI, the signals to trigger the bell and the whistle were owned by QSI.
Yes.
Now, people that didn't have DCC had, I think it was called the sidekick back then, and it would let a guy that just used the DC power pack trigger the bell and the whistle. And we could not use the signals that put out on the Precision Craft models, because we didn't own those signals. QSI did.
Yes.
So we had to change it. And we didn't want people to say, oh, it doesn't work now. It worked on this other Broadway, but not on this Broadway. So we gave them a different brand. It's like, okay, this is Precision Craft.
Okay.
It won't work with the sidekick. We have another device that will trigger the bells and the bell and the whistle. And we own it now. So it won't be that problem again.
Ok, excelente. Okay. La pregunta era sobre la historia con Broadway Limited y Precision Craft. Y sí, eran dos marcas de Broadway y todo empezó por un tema de diferencia de decoders y sonidos con QCI. Eso decidieron crear dos marcas para poner una diferencia entre, digamos, las dos. O sea, es simple la respuesta. Ken, just to say, talking about Precision Craft, the two best models in my life was the big boy with the bridge, with the brass bridge, amazing, and the Union Pacific SD70. No, sorry, 7, SD7. That, for me, is still one of the best locomotives ever produced.
It's the same factory. the same engineers and all. So we just went from, it just kept evolving.
Yeah. Those locomotives amazing. Le
Sí,
dije que las dos mejores locomotoras que hizo, en mi opinión, Precision Craft was la Big Boy, que venía
sí.
con un puente de bronce hermosa, y una locomotora SD
7, ¿no dijiste?
UP, que era divina, fue la primera locomotora realmente que parecía real. O sea, estamos hablando de 2005, 2006, o sea, muchos años atrás.
Sí, y ahorita me acordé de otra máquina que hizo Broadway en HBO y creo que en N. En México le llamamos la maquinista 100 pies, que
Sí,
es la que le puse la portada del podcast. Ken, do you remember in Mexico we call 100 pies? I believe the name is Centipede.
The centipede?
The centipede, yeah. You have a special run from NDM in HO and N. I haven't tried it. I haven't found one to try it, this engine, but I heard that they have many problems because they have many wheels and many moving parts. And I saw that you never make a second run or something. Can you tell us something about this model specific? This is important, obviously, for Mexico and some part of the United States that they have like 20 of these engines.
Yeah, the electrical pickups on the first runs, we've improved them dramatically. And that was something over the pandemic that we did, especially with the N scale. We redid. We used and this is really Bob's end of the story. We built in more play into the front trucks and different play into the back trucks. So when they go over, they can, almost like on a car's independent suspension, where each set of wheels now can ride and overcome track. It's not all traffic is perfect.
Oh, yeah. I know it's a process.
And between that and the Paragon 4, the extra capacitance, I think most of those problems will go away. I think it's just.
And I would like to add, I got the fantasy scheme from Union Pacific Century and the National of Mexico in N scale. I have that one, Eduardo, and work fantastic. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And Ken, before Eduardo translate, if you think about this one, could Broadway help N scales modelers to change or to improve those current locomotives? For example, if you have an old S40, like I say, Paragon 3, is any chance?
No, we don't have the parts, nor, we have, I think, 5 guys in service. It's only like 11 people in the company. We're very service oriented. And, our models aren't throwaway models. When a steam locomotive comes back, a guy spends hours going through that locomotive to find out what the problem is. And it oftentimes can be something that's pretty subtle. So we just don't have the money to retrofit old locomotives.
Yeah.
And the time we would spend on the phone.
That's a huge time.
Yeah, it's just undoable.
Sí, de hecho aquí, bueno, 2 traducciones. La primera, le pregunté sobre las máquinas 100 pies que conocimos en México. Le comenté que yo no he tenido la experiencia todavía de tener una en la mano y probarle todo eso, pero he escuchado que esas máquinas tenían muchos problemas en los trucks porque eran tan grandes y tenían muchas ruedas y muchas cosas de contacto. Que nos estaba comentando que bueno, pero eso es un proceso que especialmente durante la pandemia han trabajado en mejorar la toma corriente. Y hace una comparación de que cada truck, el delantero y el trasero, tomaban como si fuera la suspensión de un carro independiente y tomaban poder de la vía ahora de otra forma. Hablaba un poco de los nuevos decoders y un poco lo que yo me quedo es, sí era un proceso que no era perfecto en estas máquinas, pero lo trabajó y bueno, esperaremos en una segunda corrida que esto esté totalmente resuelto. Y tu pregunta, Martín, le preguntaste...
Porque él dijo que trabajaron durante la pandemia para mejorar los modelos en escala N.
En escala N, ¿no? Y que si podía actualizar
claro, si no
modelos
podía
N
entregar
viejos.
ese modelo y dijo que no tienen capacidad para hacerlo. Lo que es posible que si uno requiere el decoder, quizás lo pueda hacer uno, porque existen, es real, hay problemas con las N-Scale y se nota que lo trabajado y los nuevos modelos no tienen esos problemas, pero
sí,
bien,
pero lo que dice hacer, los retrofits que no tienen la capacidad, no tienen gente.
Correcto.
Entonces, digo, pues es parte de una evolución, ¿no? Entonces, la recomendación, los que puedan, es, si no pueden dejar las DCC, pues déjenlas DC solito y traten de conseguir uno nuevo esquema con Paragon 4, donde creo que ya todo está solucionado.
Correcto. Bueno, si querés pasamos al Brass Hybrid. Ken, los modelos de Brass Hybrid son los modelos combinados entre plástico, metales y bronce. Esa va a ser la pregunta. I know, Ken, you talk already about the Brass Hybrid models, but could you share with us, the story when Broadway decided to go to Champ and to these models and talk about, let's say, you have a beautiful model, the next to come, there, just sitting there. But if you can give us some story about that decision. I can't remember which one was the first hybrid model. Maybe you remember.
It was a DNS2.
Okay.
The DNS2. And there were models we wanted to make that just don't lend themselves to tooling. I mean, to spend the $250,000 and it's a one-run locomotive, it's just, you can't do it. But we wanted to make these locomotives. So, and that's what we did. Now we do, why do they run better than brass? One of the things we do is we die cast the chassis.
Yeah.
It's precise. A brass chassis, well, brass isn't that strong. It can move just a little bit. And once it's out of alignment a little, it's tough, it's hard, and it can get back, but you need somebody that's really talented. I knew one guy that could fix any brass locomotive I had, because I've imported brass, and each one is a snowflake. Each one is different. But what we've tried to do is to take and add the precision back into it. It has to run, it has to have sound, it has to smoke, it has to pull. And then certain parts that we'll do, like the brake shoes are plastic. Well, if you have brass brake shoes, they can short.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So we go to places like that are known problems and say, okay, let's make those out of plastic. We can mold it, make a very nice part, and it won't short. So we do that throughout the model. And I think that the hybrids are just elegant. They're elegant models. And
I think it's the combination of all the best of all the worlds, like I say, plastic, metal, and brass. And it's true. Like I say, you put, let's say, you can have a beautiful model, let's say a brass model, any, and maybe can't turn around a curve because it's shorting all the time, and then you fry the decoder and go back. It is true. And before I translate this one, a dream. Is any chance to do a diesel locomotive in brass hybrid to have
I've been trying to do a diesel for 20 years and I've never gotten there.
You should.
I think the BL2 would be great because we can use RF unit chassis, I believe.
Yeah.
Or is it the? I'm confused. It might be the SD chassis. But I wanted to do the BL2. It's such a unique locomotive.
Yeah.
It's just ugly, but it's unique.
Yeah. I have one model if you want to do is the Southern Pacific, the the hydraulic model. You know, remember that locomotive? It was a German locomotive. Krauss was the prototype, and Southern Pacific owned that locomotive. Was a hydraulic locomotive, so it was something like the coal turbine. That could be perfect model for a brass hydraulic.
I'll look into that.
It is amazing locomotive, and only the brass company. What's the name? I forgot the green box.
Overland
did that model in the past, and that could be the best locomotive ever if you want to do in hybrid.
I'll take a look.
Comencé un poco para traducir. La pregunta empezó que nos platicara un poco de estas máquinas mezcla brass y plástico. Y Ken daba un poco la respuesta que es como tener lo mejor de los dos mundos, que muchas veces hablaba de, puede ser un chasis de brass, pero te va a ser corto por todos lados, si se dobla es diferente, cada máquina es complicada. Entonces, puede ser el mismo chasis, pero de plástico y tener otras partes con metal. Y es mucho lo que mencionaba, que realmente es una mezcla de los mejores mundos. Mencionó un poco de que, pues bueno, si tenías una máquina de puro brass, pues puedes llegar a tener problemas de que está muy pesada, te quema el decoder, da la vuelta y hace un corto con otra cosa. Entonces creo que realmente es parte de lo que Ken comentó. Y una última pregunta que le hizo Martín era de si había oportunidad que hicieran una diesel en brass, y pues bueno, dice que pues ahorita no, dice que lleva 20 años con la misma. Pero
mira, le voy a
sí.
Mostrar a Ken. Ahí encontré
Sí.
la foto de la locomotora.
Perfecto.
No sé si se puede con el reflejo. You can see Ken. Oh, it's very hard.
Ahí se ve mejor. Ahí, muévela. Ahí ya se ve.
You can see it, Ken?
Yeah, I can see it. I'll check it out.
So, that's the locomotive, and it was a Sherman and Southern Pacific and Denver Rio Grande owned that locomotive in the US. It's an amazing model.
¿Qué modelo es?
Acá lo estoy poniendo acá.
Que es una máquina alemana.
Esa Krauss es hydraulic. Ha sido. Ahí alcanzan a leer el nombre.
Un poco más arriba es que no se ve.
Ahí.
BRSP.
Riot Cross.
Mafel ML4000.
There's three of us that get together about what to make.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if one of us feels really strongly and the other two just aren't on board, the question always comes, will you bet your house? Ooh, wait a minute. Wait a minute, I love my house.
I will do for this model. Because you have two dimension railroad like Rio Grande and Southern Pacific, and you have the fantasy scheme, and you have the Germans too. All the Germans, they will buy this in Europe. Many they run in Europe. And it's unique. It's like the coal turbine. Let's say it's something existing in one, so it's something different. And I guess with the sound decoders today, you can make those run with that sound.
Perfecto. Oye, tenemos todavía un poco de tiempo, pero ahorita con esto se me acaba de ocurrir una pregunta fuera del script. Acaba de decir que entre 3 personas deciden qué modelo hacer y cuando uno dice que sí y los otros 2 que no, la pregunta es, ¿apostarías tu casa? Y ya, no, espérame, déjame pensarlo. Le quería preguntar a Ken, ¿qué sistema utilizan ellos para determinar si se va a vender el modelo? ¿Pre-order o qué utilizan? O sea, ¿cómo cuantifica? Digo, porque los 3 pueden estar de acuerdo que es el mejor modelo y todo eso, pero ¿cómo saben si realmente se va a comprar? Y pongo mucho el ejemplo, luego aquí en grupos de Latinoamérica, dicen, no, yo quiero la máquina tal, y sí, todos. Y cuando dices, tienes que poner $100 o poner tarjeta, ya nadie dice nada. Entonces, ¿cómo se toma esa decisión en una empresa de ferromodelismo? Le voy a preguntar a Ken. Ken, I had this question that, how do you make a sales projection? For example, you said that there are 3 guys to decide which engine are you going to produce, but how do you make the estimation? Only pre-orders? Do you have like a market research, or how do you manage the numbers to say, this is going to be a hit?
Just past experience. There's no place to look them up. You don't know what else might come out in the market at that time. And what we do is we have a quantity that we make and the road names that we think we should make. And we those go into production, and we don't really tell people until it's pretty much on the boat or about ready to be shipped over here that this is what we have, this is what's coming. Often, most of the time, we're pretty good with the numbers. We're good with spreadsheets, and but sometimes we just missed it. The fantasy schemes for the the Milwaukee Road S3.
Yeah.
We made less than half of what we had the orders for, and they're already, that's done. The parts are made. Everything is we can't change that. But sometimes it just surprises us. It's quantities is the hardest part of manufacturing.
So it's more feeling, experience, and feeling. That's how you. Okay.
And we've been doing it a long time, and we do pretty good with it.
Yeah.
Not always perfect, but pretty good.
Yeah. Could you say to us how many for an example, just to know, because this is always a company. Okay, that's fine.
We never tell quantities.
No, that's correct. La respuesta de quién fue que la forma que ellos usan es la experiencia y un poco el feeling, no existe una traducción completamente eso en español, pero es el me late, no me late, voy o no voy. Yo incluiría un poco de agallas. Corazonada. Y agallas, porque decir, voy a vender esto porque en el pasado se vendió y tiene que salir. Cuando hablamos de inversiones de $250,000, pues bueno, tienes que tener esta experiencia y agallas.
Para salir un poco de lo comercial, voy a hacer una pregunta también que tengo, es el nombre, el origen del nombre de la compañía.
Ah, perfecto, sí, eso es bueno.
Can to get out of the selling mad, okay, we don't want to talk about money here, okay, it's all about the illusion of model trains, the magic. The name, Broadway Limited Imports. Obviously, Broadway Limited, I guess, is the Pennsylvania train, I guess. Yeah. So the origin of the name, the decision, you have it in your heart. Will you tell us the story of why you choose the name, or,
Just for respect to the Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
The Pennsylvania Railroad was spectacular. They call it the books, the standard of the world. And, we've made so many Pennsylvania locomotives, and there's so many Pennsy fans. Pennsy fans are like New York Yankees fans. They're everywhere. You can go into the heart of Union Pacific, and there's Pennsy guys there. And it's been the most popular. UP is second, but Pennsy is
number one.
That's good. That's good. It's like in Argentina, like football, or Maradona.
Sí, es religión, es que después de UP, Pennsy Guys, los de Pensilvania son buenos. Por todos lados hay, y hace la analogía, ¿no?, con los fans de los de New York, los Yankees de Nueva York, ¿no? También.
Talking about Pennsylvania, we need a Q2 again. Locomotive.
Q2 is one of my favorite hybrids.
I couldn't buy that one, so I'm waiting for another chance in the future.
Yeah,
so
that's a cool locomotive. That's really popular too.
Yeah, and the K4, the new one, the streamlined version. Wow.
Oh, cool.
Well, I have a different request. Shoes for my son. Are they still available?
No.
No. Oh.
No. We could never break into the shoe manufacturing. We couldn't get into the big companies, and we could not compete. And
difficult.
We met with the guy that makes probably 2/3 of the shoes in the world. He loved them, but he said, "Why would I take a chance? I'm already selling 2/3 of the shoes in the world."
Yeah, they don't need more money.
Take the chance. It broke our hearts, but
perhaps in the future, you never know.
You never know.
Le pregunté de los zapatos Shushu, que eran unos zapatos que sacó Broadway hace unos años para niños, donde creo que dejabas tus huellas, ibas caminando y eran como si fuera la vía. Y eran curiosos. Y cuando los dije, los quiero para mi hijo, pero no, ya no se producen y no se quiso arriesgar el productor.
Sí,
oye, ¿cómo vamos, Martín? ¿Cómo van las preguntas?
Sí, vamos a empezar a cerrar en la última parte con
Perfecto.
el futuro.
Perfecto.
Le voy a preguntar a Ken sobre el futuro del modelismo, consejos y alguna experiencia que quieras para ir cerrando, porque la verdad no estamos abusando del tiempo de Ken.
Gracias.
Ken, I know you're a super busy person, but we enjoy this and we hope we can repeat this in a few months or next year, because really it's very, very nice to have this opportunity. I'm personally a fan. I watch all your videos. I love all your type for Christmas, and when you share a coffee, I'm very, very true fan. So for me, this is amazing. But just to start closing this amazing day and show for our people is, what do you think about where you see the future of model trains? The new generation. What's in your head? What you can see in the future?
This sounds awful, but the pandemic was wonderful for us. In only the best ways do I mean that, but people turned back into their houses and they worked on their train layouts, and they didn't feel guilty that they should have been doing this or should have been doing that. They were doing the right thing, and they were enjoying their hobby. All the train companies did well during the pandemic, and this is unscientific, but I believe that it turned a lot of people back into the hobby again. Yeah. And how wonderful that is. And it is a wholesome family hobby that everyone can enjoy, and everyone has a romantic part in their heart for a train going around.
I think that puts families together again, relation, father, sons, and the model trains, and something, now we go to the translation anyway, but something really I want to say thank you to all the companies. They joined together and they put everything online for us, making shows online. And that's the idea where we're here too, because we are a product of the pandemic, the COVID thing, you share with us and put that spark we need to continue in the model train. So we are very thankful as people, let's say, all the factories together, like I say, doing programs, showing us products and keeping everything rolling.
And all the guys from the different companies, when we do shows, we go to dinner usually Saturday night. And, the model railroading is just the salt of the earth people. And even in the companies that work, and I've made such great friends over the years in the hobby.
And let me add something else. I believe the hobby helped many people in the pandemic because they keep the mind in something different. The reality is so ugly, and is still so many people in bad situation and many deaths. The hobby keep away from that, and you always think, I need this, I need lights, I need something else, I need ballasting, I need something. And well, that's the reality. The hobby I really help in this time. And now let me translate un poco del futuro y hacia dónde íbamos en el ferromodelismo, cómo lo veía Ken en su forma. Estaba diciendo que no es algo científico y es algo bueno de todo lo malo que ha pasado en los últimos meses, que a todas las fábricas de trenes, no solamente a ellos, les fue bien. Parece que resurgió el ferromodelismo entre mucha gente, la relación padre-hijo, el regresar a la casa, y que no se sintieran mal de me llevo 3 horas en el tren y no salí a trabajar, que todo esto ayudó. Obviamente creó nuevas formas de comunicación. Este show sale de ahí, muchas cosas que han salido, y al final yo le comentaba que que añadía que el ferromodelismo ayudó a muchas personas psicológicamente a pues, mantenerse sanos y coherentes entre tanta locura que existe afuera, entre que si salgo, no hablo, no agarro a nadie, no estornudo, no, todo eso creo que es parte de lo rescatable de este año y creo que de aquí va a ser en un futuro, no solo con este programa, sino con muchas otras cosas que vienen.
¿Sabes? Le quiero decir a Ken también una experiencia. Yo había, algo que tiene bueno Broadway, yo había buqueado una visita a la fábrica de ellos justo antes de COVID y no pude viajar a Estados Unidos, tuve que cancelar el viaje obviamente, y le quiero hacer destacar eso, que ellos también abren las puertas para que la gente visite.
Vaya. Perfect.
Ken, something bad from the pandemic. I had booked a trip to the USA to go to Florida and to Disney World, and I booked it by email a visit to Broadway Limited, and I'm very, very sad about that we couldn't visit you. But I want to put it is, you open the doors to people to visit. Let's say, not now with the COVID, but maybe in the future you're back, I guess. We're going to be back in normal at some point. So something that's good from your company. You open the doors. You show what you have there. So that's with customer service something really we appreciate a lot.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We have a great group of people. Everybody knows their job. Everybody does it with pride. It's just a great place to work, and I think people do enjoy coming. They really enjoy going through the service department. That's
the main attraction.
Yeah. Que le encanta esto, que otra vez, Ken es una persona muy especial y obviamente le gusta que la gente disfrute visitar a Broadway y abre las puertas de su negocio y dice que uno de los lugares más visitados es donde reparan las locomotoras. Le pregunto por consejos para modelistas.
Sí, perfecto.
Ken, almost the last question, or just before the last question. Any advice for people they want to start in the model train world or to keep going? Anything you want to share with us?
Just enjoy the hobby, share it with people, and I always wanted this at Christmas to pick a boy or a girl that you know, a family that you know. Buy them a train set for Christmas for a family, and they'll never forget it. Neither will you.
Correct.
It's
excellent advice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Le preguntaba, bueno, que algún consejo. Dice que, bueno, que en realidad si querés algo que quede en el recuerdo para siempre, comprar un set de trenes y realmente es una memoria que va a quedar para siempre y que disfrutes del hobby, que en realidad es lo que hacemos todos, ¿no? Tratar de disfrutar y compartir el hobby, lo que puedas hacer. No tenés que tener la mejor locomotora ni el mejor layout, lo que puedas hacer está bien y disfrutar, ¿no?
Perfecto.
Ken, anything else you want to share with this? Remember, you're talking with the other part of the world, like you have a good chance here.
That's all I know. I don't think I know anything else. I told you everything.
No, don't worry. The thing that you share with us and the feeling, the way you say it, everybody can see that you love trains, and that's the most important for us.
Oh, and thank everyone for their support. We just want to keep building cool trains. And again, thanks for Broadway. You know, I've worked for Williams Trains. I worked for Lionel and Broadway, and Broadway has the most loyal customers of anyone. Our customers are our biggest asset.
Yeah. Muy bien. Decía Ken que, bueno, que esa otra frase final, o sea, realmente, que los clientes son lo mejor que tiene la compañía, ¿no?
Así es, sí. Realmente decía que se nota en la pasión que habla y cómo nos los transmitió. Y pues, prácticamente agradecer. Hay varias frases que vamos a robarle a Ken. La del ferromodelismo es una ilusión, me gustó. El sonido es música. Y al final, un poco lo que siempre decimos, si tienes una Taiko, si tienes una Lima, si tienes la mejor Broadway, sea lo que tengas, disfrútalo. No te compares con nadie, olvídate del Rivet Counter y poco a poco disfruta lo que puedas comprar. No te preocupes si no puedes comprar todos los modelos. Con lo que tienes, trata de salir adelante y disfrútalo y compártelo con amigos y familia si es posible.
y si no, cuando se pueda andar a las exposiciones, andar a mirar trenes, andar a un amigo, siempre
Así es.
se puede disfrutar.
Así es.
Bueno, déjame despedirme con Ken. Voy a decir dos cositas. Ken, I'm saying goodbye for now. Hope to talk with you next year or again in the program if you're happy to do it again. If not, to see you maybe at Broadway one day when we can travel again. And personally, thank you for all the models, really. I never saw in my life a Union Pacific model, only pictures, and I have all them thanks to Broadway. I love what you're doing. I can't wait for the old Challenger to have it. All the big boys, the A44, I can't wait for it, you know. Thank you very much. And yeah, this is just a big thank you to say goodbye for now.
Well, goodbye, and thank you too. The pleasure was mine. And let me know if you come to Orlando.
Thank you, of course.
I will.
Yeah, and also I will have plans. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe for the next years. I just saw that the convention in St. Louis in Emirates is 2022. Just announced. I believe the last week. I will try to go there and meet many people as possible, and it's gonna be
like that.
Yeah. I think that Martin said everything. Thank you for the time, the passion, and to share knowledge with all of the not only Mexican, Latino, Argentina, Australia, and many other countries, Costa Rica, and I don't know, many other countries in the world. And it's gonna be great to have you here again. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Pues amigos, gracias. Estábamos despidiendo a Ken. Realmente muchas cosas que sacar. Creo que vamos a tener que hacer un show sin invitado. Hay tantas cosas que tenemos que hablar. Y las frases del ferromodelismo es una ilusión. Me encantaron. Y pues bueno.
Vos viste el espíritu. Esta es la persona responsable de las ventas. O sea, cuando uno habla de unas compañías que tenés una persona que vende cosas, no parece sin faltar respeto, un abuelo regalando trenes. La pasión que irradia, lo que transmite Ken es real. O sea, ahí te das cuenta por qué el modelismo está vivo hoy en día y por qué se sigue contagiando, porque es una ilusión. O sea, no me voy más de esa frase.
Sí, va a ser, la vamos a tener que patentar, la vamos a tener que parar.
Se la vamos a robar.
Pero sí, exactamente, acabas de hablar con una persona con pasión que está en ventas, el feeling, yo estoy en ventas también, muchas veces el feeling, la experiencia y los números, entonces creo que al final es algo bueno, ¿no? Para todos. Pues realmente agradecer a todos. Martín, no sé si quieres agregar algo más.
No, la verdad que venimos creo que los últimos 6 meses venimos con invitados y tenemos otro el mes que viene. Cuando tengamos que hacer un resumen de todo.
Sí, va a estar interesante. A lo mejor lo hacemos para diciembre. Ya estoy preparando una reseña de unos carros navideños ya desde ahorita para que no me gane el tiempo. Y pues ya veremos. Pues Martín, pues un saludo, buenos días a Australia, a todas las personas que nos escuchan de allá, en México, Latinoamérica, buenas tardes, buenas noches para Argentina. Gracias a todos los compañeros que nos siguieron, a los que nos ven en repeticiones. Y un último consejo, regresando a nuestra realidad, por lo menos acá en México, síganse cuidando. Esto no ha acabado, las vacunas están llegando, pero no son suficientes y disfruten lo que puedan con su familia. Un saludo a todos.
Bueno, lo mismo.
Un abrazo. Cuídense, hasta luego.